Welcome back to Made Up of Wires. I just realized I put my little logo down at the bottom there. But I didn't want it pixelated like it is on the intro. And I just copy pasted and taking it off there, it off everywhere. The blur, the pixelated blur. Anyway, welcome back to Made Up of Wires. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You can go to soten.z.dev to learn more about that project. I'm just a contributor who likes to decompile things. We've been working on the Grant Ralph Sypha boss fight, and at long last, I have a save checkpoint right there, so we'll be able to debug some of the functions, try to figure out what they are. Maybe put some names to things, figure out where some file boundaries are. But I think we'll get started where we were yesterday, which is a function. Actually, we could use it to see what this function is. That might not be the worst thing. It looks like we're matching on the PlayStation, so we're not quite. We're doing PlayStation and PSP. Yeah, we're missing one small thing here on the PlayStation. But let's see if we can figure out what this function is. And I don't think that will help us at all in this case. On the PSP, yeah, early stream, things to do, places to go. I don't think this will help us really at all. Figure out what's causing the remainder of this function to fail like it is. But it doesn't hurt, and as long as we have it open, let's do it. So the way that I typically try to figure out where things are is to use DuckStation. I like the debugger more than some of the other. So I have a few requirements for a PlayStation emulator. One is the debugger has to not be terrible. I have to know how it works, how to figure out how to do it. And it has to be reasonable on Mac OS, and it'd be great if it supported my controllers as well. Actually, I should go back to PCSXR. I was using an Xbox controller, which just wasn't recognized at all. I have an 8-bit do controller, and that one probably is. It's like the font was changed. Something changed about this debugger. The icons, maybe. It looks different. It does not look as compact as it once did. Anyway, not terribly important. So what do we want to do? We want to put some breakpoints in place. And what breakpoints do we want? We're going to take this VRAM address that gets embedded into the name when we don't have a symbol name in there. So we're going to, we have to pause to add a breakpoint. We're going to pause, and it's going to be an execute breakpoint. So when DuckStation tries to execute anything at this VRAM address, we will break. So the way that my current state is in the game is I have Grant and Ralph killed and Sypha's there. I was going to work on Sypha first. I don't know if this function is related to Sypha. But if it is, great. And if it's not, then we won't see anything. If it's something else in the stage, so we triggered right away. We might see that as well. So let's try to. So this may be Sypha herself. So we have a relatively complicated function, big state machine, lots of substeps, creating a lot of other entities. I think that is probably a reasonable idea. And so we can go even further and try to figure out what what these specific steps are, if any. So I'm going to go down and look at like case 3. Usually each of these cases is a different attack type. And so those are going to, actually, no, I'm not going to go to case 3. I'm going to go, I want one that's going to create another entity. So let's go to case 5. So this will help us identify what this entity is as well. And so we want line 142 here, and we're looking at the PlayStation version, which is what we want. So we're going to go down, scroll down, find 142 here. And so now not only do we have our breakpoint offset address, but now we know that this is 430 bytes further along, and so we could set a breakpoint there and get a breakpoint right in the middle of this switch statement. I did some work, it's been over a year, I think, trying to get GDB plugged in, and DuckStation supports a GDB server, but I couldn't get it working very well with source and everything. So I'm going to add an additional breakpoint, and it's going to be at that case. I don't think I need hex prefix there, but I will put it. And I'm going to get rid of this other one since we know, or have a pretty good idea that it's SIFA. So now when I go back into the game, we should only hit that breakpoint if whatever attack or whatever that state means, and then we should see that other entity as well. So let's do this. I'm going to try to live long enough to not die. And it's possible that it's not SIFA, but something else. It's doing all the same attacks on me. Let's see if I can get her to do something else. So it looks like, does she just have the 3 attacks? Maybe that's it. So maybe not SIFA. All right. So I'm going to reload my breakpoint. Or sorry, save state. And we'll go. And so we had a function earlier that I thought was these caskets. Still think it's the caskets. But now let's try to live long enough to get that attack. Whichever one it is. I have a lot of health, so not too concerned with it. I don't see anything. So it's possible that it's just not part of logic, and maybe I just chose a bad attack. Alright, so I'm going to pause this here. We'll find a different one to put a breakpoint on. So that was case 5. Let's go to case 6, I guess. And so I have a calculator off screen, and all I'm doing is adding this base address to whatever this offset is here, 498. And that gives me my new breakpoint address. I'll leave number 2 in there. We'll try again. Very odd. So this entity is something that's existing, but it's not not any of the attacks these guys are doing. Okay, so we'll come back to this, and try to figure out in a bit what this might be. We do have a hitbox. Well, we could go further down. Maybe here on line 266. I'm going to do this one more time. I want to see something. Actually, let's do this scientifically. We're going to go up here to line 35, and we know that offset 2C is going to be loaded into register V1, and so we can see specifically what state that is going to be done in. So we're going to use this offset 74 past the start of this function. And it should be able to get that one. We're not getting that either. But the main function was being called, or I thought it was. Yeah, the main function is called. So how are we not getting there? So here's our, move this off screen, and we can kind of compare this right here. I have to rearrange my screen because my screen is not the same. We have our, starting kind of at the top up here, we have our SLTIU, which is here, which is our load the 8, and then we're going to break to further down if that's not equal to 8, and then do our set step call here. Let's see where that's loaded into. A0. So what I want though, set step is just a function call. It's always going to return. I want this here. So I want to break right here. And isn't that where I 908? I did 98. 3698. Now these are very wrong addresses. I'm not sure why. My math failed somehow. I don't know. So we're going to come down here anyway, and we'll see what step this is. So unpause, and now in our V1 register, we actually have step 0. Is that true? It doesn't seem right. No, we're not far enough along. Let's see. Register S1. Our register S1 load here is a memory address and not it's a store word. I'm sorry. I'm failing. Yeah, we're writing this back. This is setting our step. I'm lost. I'm lost. I do see that my other addresses, though, are not making sense. I'm not sure why. Anyway, we'll get back to that in a bit. Let's keep decompiling. Hey Nate, good to have you back. Been a while. Wompty Dompty, good to have you. All right, so yesterday we left, and I was kind of stuck down here at 377. And I'm gonna try to reason a little bit more about this. Oh, I don't have my coffee. That'd be nice. You deal with some coffee right about now. So we're loading this this address, which is a global, which has a bunch of, it's an array of unsigned 8s. We're loading that into S1, and then we're not using it for a while, so we have to kind of disregard what that might be. Oh, I think most of the items are decompiled. That's a good question. Hey, I negotiate with Terrace. I don't know. That's a good question. If we get through this, remind me and we could go look it up. All right, so the next thing then is we're taking offset 20 from the stack pointer, which I think is self. Yes. And loading the current frame index, which is this, offset 56. And it looks like we're using that as an index here. Except we think that this is just a signed 8 array, not a signed 8x4 array. Okay, it should be unsigned. So I'm just going through basically step by step here and trying to consider this from first principles. Then we're using this as the I see. Do I? So I know that this is also bytes. So we need to get our types right. Somewhere I'm mixing up signed and unsigned. Here. Okay. And did I have this as plus pluses down here? Yes, I did. So I think we have it now. Basically, the arrays were inverted from what I expected. So these are going to be just dereferencing and then a plus plus. I have to undo my signedness again. This one is signed. I'll get it right eventually. Which one is that? Temp V1, so it's the 718. Should be signed. And where's my unsigned load? That's still unsigned. So what so this all looks mostly okay. We have some additional moves here. I don't think that a separate plus plus is being used. Yeah, I think it's in line like that. So I think this is coming, the moves are coming from somewhere else. We'll have to figure that out later. So then down near the bottom, there is an additional load down here we don't have. We go to M2C, cheat a little bit. M2C, help me. We're doing the subtraction again. So that looks the same. But there is an additional read of... yeah, this happens. So offset Y is being calculated as well, even though it's not being used. And that might be good enough to shove all the registers around in the way that I want. There we go. To get some of those moves in place, but it doesn't look like it. Not quite right. But now we know what the types are for the globals, I think. So let's get that over to the PlayStation and double check that all of that is good. I think it should be. Still not quite right. So we have some register issues, which we must have had before. And probably that one move instruction, yeah, is still wrong. So now we get to sweat the details and try to figure out what might be going on. 56. There's all kinds of things that'll get used when constructing the switch statement, so we don't really control any of those registers, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm mostly worried about the S registers. 65 also, that looks like just something that's hanging out there. Hey Aldrich, yeah, early today. Poking at some registers, mostly concerned with the S registers. Not a variable. So we have a first hint here, 89. So in the original, we have this being loaded into the A1 register and then moved at the last moment into A0. This is still Grant Ralph Sifa. I was trying to figure out what this function was, but failing miserably. I finally have a save state there, but my debug foo was failing. So often when these moves happen, it's not anything that we control. Here is something that we control, which is a load, and what will happen is this is a dead store, but on the GCC side, the code gets generated for that dead store, and then eventually that needs to be pulled out. And so in the original code gen, they're going to assign registers and do certain things, and not everything gets cleaned up. So we have this load of self. It says animate entity take 2. Yes, it does. So we're missing an arg here. And that probably is going to clean up a bunch. How much did that change? Oh, it ruined everything. It actually, yeah, made it much worse. But it's more correct. And if we take that over to the PlayStation, that might be the last thing. Yeah, we have S1 going into the A1 register. That's probably... Oh, this totally breaks it here, though, too. And the problem is we probably are missing that second arg a bunch of places. So let's review all the animate entities. Make sure they all have a second arg. We've circled back. Yes, we are trying to follow that. I think 16 is where the S registers start, right? I never remember what their numbers are. Okay, so we're back, and I think we're about the same. So the PlayStation is really good now. I think the PlayStation is probably done. So we were at like 290 before, now we're at 110. And so I'm expecting symbol differences like these. That's okay. Compiler will deal with that, or the linker, I should say. And everything else, ooh, not quite. Yeah, I think these might be backwards. Let's look at those. Go all the way down. So let's flip these, S and U, and then let's flip them down here as well. Still wrong registers. And it's possible that this isn't getting put into a variable. Let me revert the order. order seemed right. Registers are wrong, though. And let's I'm gonna get rid of this. Let's try this on the PSP and see if that is necessary. MetroWorks is very picky about types. No, it needs to go into a variable. But I think that the order was wrong. What happened here? All right, so we have to go register hunting. One second. All right, let's try to wrap this up. So now I have an extra variable, which means I need to get rid of something. So we're gonna, I think we're gonna go through and just mark variables and see what they should be versus what we have. And we'll try to resolve that. So 43, there's no variable. Entity is S0, and that's correct. So the S1 versus S3 is just because we have other register issues elsewhere. Let's go down to this offset X and offset Y way down at the bottom. Sometimes in large functions like this, those get awesome. Good job. I negotiate with terrorists. So you're saying that the boots do change the player scale Y. So we have S2, which is correct, and S4, which is not. Does it affect hitboxes as well? Or is it just... I am excited for the new Castlevania game. So no hit, it just changes. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I was talking about it a little bit yesterday. Of the like modern Metroidvanias, Record of Lotus War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth is one of my favorites. And so I'm a little like, I think that art style is a little more what I would prefer. But Dead Cells is an excellent game. It plays really well. So how could I complain? All right, so I'm... I could never get into Hollow Knight, and maybe I should try again. I tried what I need for a Metroidvania to hook me is like within the first hour, some obvious place that I can't get to, but then some ability. I would say several obvious places I can't get to, but then some ability that I attain or achieve to get to at least one of those. And I felt like in Hollow Knight, it was just exploring and exploring, and I never like got any additional abilities. And eventually I just stopped playing. So here we have this S5 register that gets introduced, which suggests a variable, a new variable. Let's try this. I don't think that it's the case, but yeah. And actually the Bloodstained style, artistically, I think I like Bloodstained a bit more. It does, yeah, I do think that it did have some influences from Bloodstained. Okay, so let's look for this one on left side. I'm not sure how I feel about the whip swinging thing, but that's probably fine. Oh, look at this. No. So we have an additional ARG here. Oh, duh. No, my bad. I missed the entity ID here. Lost Crown, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, that had a ton of platforming, and I like that quite a bit. This actually might have an additional ARG. It does. So this is a bug. But that did clean up a bunch. Not everything is copacetic. Yeah, Bloodstained was Koji Igarashi, which is who did Symphony of the Night and a bunch of the Metroidvanias on Game Boy Advance and DS. He didn't do the first Metroidvania on Advance, if I believe, or if I remember correctly, which is still good. It's just not a Iga game. So the result of this function is getting moved into S1 versus S3. The result isn't used, so I don't think that that's something we can control. I did want to look for this on the left side, 22, and see if that looks correct. So that should be register S3. This may come down to variable ordering. Was that it? Not quite. Let's see if there's anything else. We still do have an extra variable in here somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely excited. More Metroidvanias, the better. There's actually been, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, like I said, Lost Crown I thought was excellent. A lot of focus on platforming and combat. It's a little older, but the Record of Lodoss War, Delit and Wonder Labyrinth, it's short, but it's really good. Really good art. Metroid Dread I thought was pretty good. Little, I felt more white knuckle in that game than most other Metroidvanias. So I do see the registers, the register differences as I'm going through, but I'm trying to focus on if there's anything else that I might have missed along the way. But it looks, so there's things immediates like this that are not an issue, but it does just seem like a register issue. So I'm going to look down here, and I almost wonder if this is being reassigned to itself. And that's what it looks like it is. That might have been it. Yeah, so odd. The second one isn't there then. So let's do a quick rundown just to be sure. So immediates I'm not terribly concerned with. When I see differences in this gutter here, I want it to be I don't want to see any registers. I don't want to see any missing instructions. That's looking good. These are buttons. All right, I think we got it. So I'm going to take this. PlayStation should be clean. PlayStation is clean. The PlayStation is going to be the easier one to get compiling. So I'm going to take that. I didn't do my entity IDs correctly, so I'll have to clean that up later, but I will do that as well. Let's go over and figure out where this is. We might have some issues. This might not be the most straightforward, because it looked like there was a split that should be in here, but we will give it a shot. What did I do here? How did all this other stuff get? Ooh, and actually, now that I think about it, I'm testing a replacement utility to one of the tools that we use, and so my build might be very broken. Let me flip over here, hide some work that I'm doing. We'll see if it works. I don't think it will, but it does great. I can just rid of this build for US, and it only affects the PSP. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is working, and there's some stuff above that I need to take care of, but good to know that is panicking. But it looks like, yeah, we were able to crack this one as well. Something came up, and so I gotta go. But I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Eldritch. Appreciate it. And Kanai, good to have you. Nate, Roaming, I Negotiate with Terrace. Everybody, thank you for joining chat. Busy chat today. Maybe I'll try to do it early every day. Seems like more people are available. Adios.